Okay, so on June the 25th, 2009, the onboard computer connected to the external facility to the ISS inside and to the ground broke. Well, what do you mean it broke? Okay, so the most it was alive for was from March, April, May, June, so 3 months. 3 months, and then the computer connecting the external facility to the ISS inside and to the ground broke. What do they mean broke? I mean, how did someone tread on it? It's not just going to break, is it? Measured environmental data from Exposar could no longer be stored and was lost. Oh, it's lost. It's lost. Okay, so what happened? Did they retrieve any actual data? Due to the extended periods where no data could be stored on the onboard computer, oh right, yeah, a total mission environmental profile could not be provided. Oh right. Therefore, they commissioned Redshift. Redshift was contracted to model and calculate the overall total UV radiation. They estimated and simulated. They didn't. There was computer failures in a hard drive. They couldn't store the information, so they had to do a parallel mission ground reference experiment with a parallel set of hardware and samples under simulated space conditions. So I noticed this comes up on their spacewalk a few times. Expose R. So what is Expose R? So I started looking into it. Very interesting. Very interesting. Expose R is an astrobiological mission on board the International Space Station. So it was sent up there to measure, well, organisms, to see if they could find some organisms and just retrieve general sort of. Expose-R was adapted on the Universal Workplace and one of the 4 external platforms of the Russian module, whereas Expose-E, the first Explore mission, was. Okay, so the first Expose mission to measure all these temperatures and average temperatures and the effects of microgravity and bacteria, they're looking for organisms. This was planned for 2002, but it was postponed for several times. Lots of excuses were given. Accident and delays in the delivery of ISS structures, which required replanning of the Expose missions by the ESA. Finally, Expose-R was launched as a second Expose mission in November 2008 to the ISS. Currently, the third Expose mission, Expose-R2, is planned to be flown in 2014-2015. Okay, so what they're doing is they're sending up, they're trying to do biological experiments on the ISS, but what keeps happening, by the looks of it, is everything goes wrong. And as per yet, as you'll discover in a minute, because they've had to simulate it, they've had to simulate. Honestly, they've hired this company out here that just seem to be like a bunch of Satanists. So Redshift, this is the company they've hired, the world's first fully GPU accelerated biased renderer. Okay, so yeah, I've loaded this website up and I'm thinking, why is this so, why am I getting a satanic feel off this? Because it is. What are all these guys with hoods and all these red eyes in the background, and they're all chanting as they circle this thing they worship, and here they are over here as well in the dark. How creepy is that? How creepy is that? I mean, what kind of customers are you trying to attract here? Oh yeah, NASA. Yeah, that makes sense now. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, what you'll discover is these are just people that are involved in simulating things and creating rendering of scenes containing hundreds of millions of polygons and TBs of texture and data. Yeah. Okay, so Redshift here. Yeah, I'm going down the I think are they all doing a bong? I think that's what they're doing. I think that's what they're doing. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, so the data was returned to Earth, and as you'll see in a minute, they didn't. There was computer failures in a hard drive. They couldn't store the information, so they had to do a parallel mission ground reference experiment with a parallel set of hardware and samples under simulated space conditions, following to the data transmitted from the flight mission. See what they're doing here? They're actually simulating the data. Why would they need to simulate the data and present the simulated data as the real data? The exposed and why not allow any discussion? It says here discussion. There's no discussion. References are just people parroting. It's not. There's no discussion here. The discussion is just them. Their propaganda polemic. They were developed by. Okay, so remember the first experiment was a failure, so this is the next one now. It's November the 26th, 2008. The fully accommodated exposed air facility covered with a removable transparent top window protection was launched on board the 31P Progress launcher from Baikonur, Kazakhstan, to the ISS. After docking 4 days later, the facility was transported into the Russian module, examined for damage and stored. On December the 23rd, 2008, the facility was transported by an EVA to the external URMD platform attached and connected. Power connection of exposure could not be confirmed. Basically, they plugged it in and it didn't work. Therefore, it was returned during the same EVA back into the ISS and stored again for troubleshooting. After the second EVA, exposure was commissioned and started successfully on March 11, 2009. Valves were opened by telecommand to evacuate the connected compartments. The first received data set confirmed the valve open status. Okay, so on June the 25th, 2009, the onboard computer connected to the external facility ISS inside and to the ground broke. Well, what do you mean it broke? Okay, so the most it was alive for was from March, April, May, June, so 3 months. 3 months, and then the computer connecting the external facility to the ISS inside and to the ground broke. What do they mean broke? I mean, how did someone tread on it? It's not just going to break, is it? Measured environmental data from exposure could no longer be stored and was lost. Oh, yeah, like the 2003 experiment. Okay, so it was lost. So the computer was exchanged on December 28, 2009, and data retrieved nominal until February 12, 2010. So again, December, January, February. So again, less than 2 months, and we're out of action again. When the Russian router Ethernet exchanged and cable reconnection was performed on March 22nd, 2010, the system was recovered 322 day. So they were all, I'm sure, thinking, thank God for the Jesuit Brotherhood of Death, who have made everything come right on 322 day. Mission was nominal. On January the 21st, 2011, the end of the mission was marked by the telecommand to close the 3 valves. After return of the whole monoblock of exposed air into the ISS, the astronauts wiped the outside of exposed air to remove any possible toxic substance for safety reasons. On January the 28th, the 3 trays were deintegrated and returned to the ground with one of the last shuttle flights. Okay, so what happened? Did they retrieve any actual data? Due to the extended periods where no data could be stored on the onboard computer, oh right, yeah, a total mission environmental profile could not be provided. Oh right. Therefore, they commissioned Redshift. Redshift was contracted to model and calculate the overall total UV radiation. They estimated and simulated The calculated data from Redshift became the basis for the on-ground irradiation during the mission simulating MGR experiment performed by the PSR at DLR Cologne. Okay, so expose our mission environment. So basically, Redshift. Here they are. So this company here, Redshift, calculated lack of substantial detectable contamination at the outside of the windows could be explained by the fact that after the end of the mission and return of exposure to the inside of the ISS, the whole facility was thoroughly cleansed by the astronauts with wipes. Okay, so what they're saying is they didn't detect anything, which they thought they were going to detect. And they're saying, well, that might be because, you know, they cleaned up. Because the R3 data storage depended on the onboard computer, it suffered data loss, because, you know, they cleaned up.